Now that we have some directories in place to upload our various media into, let's say that we want to upload some images to use on our web pages. We can go ahead and click on that folder. And you see right now it's empty. We've got nothing in it. And in the upper right, we have an upload button. So we'll go ahead and click that. And it'll give us some options: upload files, edit and upload, import zip. So you got some options there. You can overwrite existing if you needed to. And I'm going to add. And in this case, I want to go into Carolyn Shaw. She had some nice photos in here. And I'm going to grab a couple. I can use select and grab a couple there. Now, notable is that every file uploaded into the system cannot have a space or special character in the name. If you do, this is going to turn red and say you cannot upload it. If you end up with that situation, you don't have to go back on your drive and change the name. All you have to do is open the More Actions icon, and you can see that you have a rename option. And you would just type the new name. Hit enter or return. And while it still stays a highlight, it does change the name. So we've got those. Now we can click the Start Upload button. And there's both of our files. They've now been placed in the images directory. And note that both of them show as unpublished. As a best practice, it is always a good idea to publish all files you upload into the system just as you upload them, as opposed to waiting for later. And I can publish them both right now. And I don't have to do it separately, nor do I have to click on each one. I've got the option to publish all of them. And you might notice here that I've got a series of boxes on the left side. And if I select the one at the top here next to name, it's going to select both those. And it's going to give me some options of some things that I can do with both of those files. In this case, I want to publish. So I'll select publish. And it has some very specialized options here. That they're not necessary for just general publication, so you can leave them alone. Version description, I might put initial publication. And publish. The reason we want to publish, particularly image files, as they're first uploaded into the system, is because if an image is not published, you may insert the image into a snippet or try to use it as a hero image on the page. And when you publish that page, while your preview and edit view showed you the image in the location that you had it, it's not actually going to show the image on the page. What you're going to end up with is a little sort of broken image icon and your alt text right next to it. It's not actually going to show the image. Until that image is published, it will not show in the snippets or in the hero section of the page. So always publish all of your images the moment you upload them to save yourself the time. We've all made that mistake. Why is my image not showing? Well, we didn't publish it. So now that we've got our images published, if we needed to, we can actually edit the image. And a lot of us have image editors that we've used for years and prefer, be it Photoshop. I use one on the app on the MacBook Air that I edit on called a Preview. That came with it is that are fairly versatile. OmniCMS does have a built-in image editor. It's pretty basic, but it'll get the job done if you need it. So let's go into this image here, just like we would a web page. And here's the image we've got in question. Takes up more than the frame will allow. So what we can do is come over here on the left side, click the zoom tab, and we want to zoom to fit. And now we have the entire image fitting there. And note that these are drop downs. Note also that the image was checked out to me the moment I clicked on it and entered it. And now that we see the whole image, we can sort of work with it. We've got some tools in this right-hand selection. We've got resize, which allows us to change the size of the image and preserve the aspect ratio. Preserve aspect ratio keeps it from stretching and skewing. So usually you'll want to keep that checked. And it's 800 by 600 already, and that's the standard for most of the image usage on the website, according to the snippets guides, which we'll show later. So we're just going to leave it like that. Close that up. We can crop the image if we want to. There are a series of aspect ratio options. And basically you would select one. 16 by 9, for example, is your standard widescreen. And you see that it sort of made a window there, and we could adjust the window. If we wanted this to be a 16 by 9, we could do a custom, which gives us tabs that we can sort of draw and move around. I'm going to set it to 16 by 9 for the moment. And if we wanted to crop it, we could. We can swap the width and height. That would deal with the window as such. So if you wanted it, say 16 by 9, but higher, taller than it is the other, you could do it that way. Like maybe if you wanted to isolate just her for a sidebar, that's about the perfect size for a sidebar sort of image. In this case, I just want a 16 by 9 widescreen sort of size. So I'll stretch it out. And I could crop it there. And it'll crop it. Maybe I don't like it. I want the 800 by 600. I can always undo. I can rotate the image if I want. It only rotates by 90 degrees, so keep that in mind. Once I've got all my changes made, I'm ready to save the image. Now, it'll be tempting the first couple times to hit the save button, but don't do that. The reason being, if you click save, it's going to overwrite your old version of the image. And say, for example, that you have a really nice large portrait of yourself that's high res, that you wanted to reduce down to, say, a profile type image. Profile images are typically 400 wide and 300 tall, and you resized it in the system to that size. If you hit save, you're going to overwrite your nice big high res version with that very small profile version, and we wouldn't want to do that. So our best option here is to click save as. This allows us to keep our original version, but also have this as a second version. And we want to give it a new file name. In this case, I'll call it B, orientation 2019b.jpg. And I'll click save. So it's saving the image. And note that it checked the image back in. I no longer have it checked out, but there's something it didn't do with the image. If I click out to pages, there's our new image. It didn't publish it. That's important because the way that after it moves the screen and checks the file back in, it's easy to assume that it published your image. It doesn't. So what we actually need to do is publish that image. And we might note minor edits. If it was a resize, you might say resize, any number of things. Publish the image. Image is published and it's ready to use on the web pages. So now, if we go back to our web page accessibility, and maybe I want to use that in the snippet of the index page. I can come over here, check the page out, go into that teaser content section, and it may not display completely correctly this first time around, but we'll see what it does. I'm going to use as insert edit image. I'm going to set it. And note that it kicked me out to resources, images, samples. When you're working with images for your own web pages, you're best not to use or save stuff to the resources folder. The reason why that is because that is basically what it says in the tin. It's a resources for the larger organization. But if somebody were to say, delete your image out of resources in a site cleanup or something like that, it would disappear off your page and you'd have no idea where it went, why it went there, so on and so forth. So you're better off to save your images in your own directories. And here we're in training. We're in the Z123. We're in web page accessibility. We're in images. There's our image. I'm going to insert it. And as before, placeholder is not valid alt text. That is an accessibility error. So we're going to replace that with something descriptive. 2 kneeling students smiling and holding signs on orientation day. And of course, we could add a lot more detail. We could talk about the appearance of the students. What are the signs saying? What general activity are they in? What's the time of day? Are they surrounded by other students? There's a lot you could add to that descriptively to make it even better than what I have here. I'm going to save it. And that image is going to totally change. Save again. There are our students in the snippet. And that is how we upload and use images in the system.